Wap. Hello. Can anybody hear me? Hello. If somebody can hear me, say something. Okay, so I can hear people. Lovely. Excellent. Oh, is that Matthew? It is. Excellent. Good old Matthew out in Wisconsin. Hello, everybody. I think that this is backwards. For example, this is my right hand, and I don't know why it's showing backwards, but I guess that doesn't really matter. Got jump scared. Poor Hammer. Oh, hey, it's the Poor Hammer guys. You guys are lovely. I love watching your videos. Oh, it is on the right side for you. Man, weird. I don't know why it's... Anyway, hi, everyone. Today, I'm going to be painting up some Talarn. I played a game with my Talarn today and against Tyranids. And I had so much fun, and it has reignited my interest in painting this army. It's been maybe a year and a half since I've painted any of these guys, and I've got maybe, what is this, like 11 guys that I want to paint. I like a year ago, I sprayed these and then painted the pants, and I guess decided, well, I'm done, and just put them aside. So today, that's what we're gonna do. Love the crab, Full Tone says. Yes, this is Paint Crab. He's very helpful. I put whatever brush I am actively using in Paint Crab's hands when I need to do something else. He's very helpful. He is the best friend that I've ever had. Thanks, Paint Crab. Also, I have a nice like paint rack that my wife made for me, and I never use it because look, there's just all my paints. I know exactly where all they are though, so it feels kind of organized. Yeah. Let us see. I have this, so I have these guys that I'm looking to paint, obviously, and I have this old reference sheet that I made and I dug out from my drawer, which I'm really happy I wrote this down so I can use the same colors on them. So I've already done the pants. The shirt, it looks like, is Agrix Earthshade, Desert Yellow, and Dry Brushing Ushabti Bone. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to do some Agrax over the pants and the shirts and start there. But yeah, hello everybody. This is fun. I haven't done this in a minute. I would like to say that today I am interested in just talking with folks and answering questions. I know people have questions about 10th edition or the Tacoma Open, which I am going to be doing a video on over the next few days. But in the meantime, I would love to answer any questions that anybody has, if anybody ever gets one. When you change up something on your Grey Knight painting method, like doing the eyes a different way, do you go back and update your current army to be the same? Oh, that is a good question. We're going to give that a heart. Did that work? Nope. I don't know how to let's pin that message. Is that how that works? All right, great. So Full Tone asks, when I change something up in my Grey Knights, do I go back and redo everything? I have to stop myself from doing that because otherwise I would be stuck in an infinite hobby loop where I never actually paint anything new and I'm just redoing old stuff as I discover new stuff. So I like to keep my models in sort of like a reflective of the period that I painted them, so I can look back and see how I've grown as a painter, as opposed to like just trying to update everything constantly. However, I did recently buy a ton of new bases from Games Workshop, Terminator-sized bases, because I have a new basing scheme that I want to do with my Grey Knights, and I want to make them all match and look similar. So I don't want to have a bunch of different like bases in my army. So I'm going to redo the bases. All right, what did I say? Agrax is first. Agrax is first. Everybody's favorite shade, Agrax Earthshade. I used to really love uh, Nuln Oil, but they changed up the recipe on Nuln Oil. Um, I don't know what they did, but it's thinner now, and it's a lot more like a panel liner than an actual shade. So I don't use Nuln Oil nearly as much. Anyway, I'm going to take my Talarn, and I'm going to just soak their shirts and their pants in Agrax, which will take a minute. How do you feel about being the most muscular 40K content creator? Will says, well, Will is wrong because I have seen Stephen Box from Tabletop Titans. I've also seen, oh God, what's his name on Instagram? Alex, I think, Fithammer. I'm maybe in the top 10, but I am not. I appreciate the vote of confidence, Will. Thank you. Mm. Ooh, this is going to take a minute. Just soaking and soaking. I do always like applying washes to things, though, as it's, I don't know, there's something soothing about it. There's something that feels, uh, I'm not sure. Anybody else get that? Anybody else have like a particular like step of painting that just feels nice? For me, it's just the washes. It's just an easy thing to do, and it just feels nice to be able to slather something and then immediately see how the model looks better. Yeah, see, it just immediately adds some sort of like just sense of like completeness to it, even though I'm maybe 4 steps removed from this actual garment being complete. It just immediately adds a sense of like depth to it, which is, the point. Fucking it's a fucking wash. It's supposed to do that. Ooh, energy and glow effects. That is a good one. Um, I like doing energy and glow effects like on my swords in particular, but those always take a while. But man, once I'm like a half or a third of the way through painting a sword, it just feels awesome. Like it just feels like it's really cool. Oh, you know what I am recalling? So it's been a long time since I've been on this project. So I don't recall what it's like to paint them, but I am immediately realizing something. I want to also make sure I paint these little like leg muffs around the boots here because those are going to stay tan and I'm not going to highlight them. I'm going to let them stay a little like dirtier and just agrexed up like that. So I'm going to go back to her, make sure she's got that. When you find 3 colors that just blend super well together. Yeah. I don't have a good eye for color. This might be a weird thing for me to say, being somebody who's been in this hobby for 8 years now and who spends most of his nights painting models, but I am not a great artist. Which, I mean, I have a lot of, like, models that I'm proud of, and I have a lot of like stuff that I've made that I feel really good about. But I am not like I'm not like a trained artist. I don't have a really good eye for that kind of thing. So like I'm just I just really like putting paint onto models and I do that enough and I start to see good progress from that, but I don't actually like I don't really know what I'm doing if that makes sense, which sounds kind of silly. And I know that repetition is really all that it is, but it's just sort of winging it the time forever. Good day from Oz. Oh, hello, Twuggy from Australia. That's fun. What do we got? Question: do you think a Grey Knight's Contemptor would be cool? Jacob Fisher says. Yeah, actually, a Grey Knight's Contemptor would be really interesting. I did one up years and years ago. Actually, I'm gonna go grab it real quick. No, I don't want to step away from the thing. It's all the way downstairs. But I did a Grey Knight's Contemptor years and years ago. Oops, I think there was something in this brush. Looks like it got into the paint with there. Did I? Let's see. It's fine. Anyway, I have a Grey Knight's Contemptor that I did years ago, just to do as a Doomglaive Dreadnought that suffers from being a really like early model of mine, so I haven't so it doesn't like look good. And I have not played it in a very, very long time. But it was a fun project, and I ordered one of those Custodes dreadnoughts and dolled him up to look kind of Grey Knights ish. And again, it doesn't look good, so I'm not. Uh, I don't ever like show it on the channel or anything because I don't like how it looks. Do you notice your Citadel paint's getting thicker over time, painting with the lids open? Not in that. That's interesting. Well, I've never noticed it, but maybe I'll start to notice it now. I don't know. Is that a thing that happens? I can't imagine because it's still like, it's not particularly hot and evaporative. Evaporative? That's probably not a word. I don't think the air is really wicking the paint that quickly here, although maybe. I've never noticed it. I can't understand Psychic from the rulebook. It seems to explain it terribly. How does it affect attacks and damage? Says pathetic sea lion. Well, from just a like rules perspective, it doesn't. Psychic doesn't affect anything in any way. Just the psychic word itself means nothing. It has no function. It has no use other than identifying something as psychic. However, there are a lot of abilities in the game that key off of the psychic tag, whether it's on a model or on a weapon. Some weapons, like say, some models say they have a feel no pain against psychic attacks, or some models can do more damage to psychic units and things like that. But the psychic keyword itself, entirely irrespective of anything else, does nothing. It's a meaningless little piece of text. I am not bitter about it. I am just observing. It is just stating it like it is. Good day, he says. Are you going to do any combat patrol size matches like you did with boarding patrols? Greetings from 3 a.m. in the UK. Oh, Velcro head. I appreciate you being up for that. Am I going to do any combat patrol sized games? Maybe the because combat patrols are specific things, and I'm not too intrigued by the Grey Knights combat patrol itself. I don't know. If there's enough demand for it, I could. And that could be fun. Maybe bring Dustin to do an Eldar combat patrol, or Graham to do a billion Zangers and the Thousand Suns combat patrol. But largely, the actual like makeup of the Grey Knights combat patrol doesn't really interest me. Librarian, some strikes, and not both a Terminator and a Dread Knight. If you've actually looked at the combat patrol rules, it is a Dread Knight or Terminators. You can't bring both. And there's no reason to bring a Dread Knight in a small game like that because he'll just die immediately. And that'll be very sad. But yeah, so essentially you're working with 3 units in the Grey Knights Combat Patrol. And if you don't bring the Terminators, then you can't attach the Librarian to anybody. And if you yeah, so if you do bring the Terminators and attach the Librarian, then you're working with 2 units, which is difficult to play like a full game on, if that makes sense. Like having only 2 units makes it very, very tricky. Non-painted question. You've shown off. I scrolled too much. Oh no, I scrolled too much. Where'd it go? Non-painting question. You've shown off your mats and deployment lines before. Where did you get them? I'm looking up to get new mats for my playgroup to speed up setup time. Oh, excellent. So that is a good question. I love those mats with the deployment zones on them. I have ordered a couple of them multiple times. They're not made of the like, what do you call it? The like mouse pad material. Is that neoprene? I think that's neoprene. They're not made of the mouse pad material, so they're a little more fragile. But I've gotten them from urbanmats.com, which here, I'll write that in the thing so that people can look that up. urbanmats.com. Yeah, and they have when you look at their individual resources, it explains, like, they have like a drop down menu that says, like, do you want it with like deployment zones for which game, etc., etc. And who knows, maybe they've updated it for 10th edition. Oh, there's my neighbor's dog going crazy. Poorhammer is the reason I started Grey Knights, says Sean Bertrand. Excellent. Poorhammer is an excellent YouTube channel. They've exploded in popularity in the last like 6 months, and it's really exciting for them. Very cool, folks. Psychic is probably going to have a purpose with a detachment rule we get in the Grey Knights Codex. I hope so. Love your channel and your hobby philosophy. Thank you. Have you looked into Assassin to Ally? You would love to see you put a few in your lists. Ooh, so I have yes, actually, I brought a Vindicare Assassin to the Tacoma GT this most recent weekend, and he was highly effective. I killed a Space Marine chaplain with him, which was very cool. But primarily, he was grabbing me engaged on all fronts, which was very nice of him. And also, he was scaring opponents into moving their characters out in the open, which is also very nice of him. He didn't kill a whole lot aside from one chaplain over the course of 6 games, but just the presence of the Vindicare Assassin freaked people out. I've seen people have a lot of success with the Calidus Assassin, and I don't have one modeled up, and I'm not sure I want to. Nothing against the model. It's just the assassins are kind of they're not so much my jam, aesthetically speaking, but I did enjoy having the Vindicare Assassin, so maybe I will try out some others. Got to use those zangers at some point. Yeah, poor Graham and all of his zangers. I see poor Hammer hashtag one last Kopesh. I'm gonna screenshot that because that'll make Graham happy. He hates checking out these live streams, so he will not be here because he just doesn't enjoy. It's hilarious. If anyone's ever, I know people enjoy seeing Graham on here. Graham is such an old man. He doesn't engage with like this sort of like social media or uh like streaming games or like engaging with folks on social media in any way. It's just like not, he just doesn't get it. He doesn't understand it. He kind of hates the whole process, but everyone loves whenever he's on the channel. And he has such a fun, like taking the piss out of things attitude, and people always love him. And so I'm always like, come on, come back on the channel. And he's like, I don't understand why people want to watch me play a game. It doesn't make any sense. And then he's always a jackass and he's always great and he always has so much fun. But it's just hilarious that his attitude of like not understanding, quote unquote, the whole like social media like hobby interaction thing leads to him actually being a really fun personality to have for these sorts of things. What else we got? Fletcher says some combat patrols are really bad for their respective factions. Space Wolves and Thousand Suns. I don't know what's in the Space Wolves one, but I know that Thousand Suns one is mostly Zangers, and that sucks eggs. We're gonna see a game of heresy on the channel. Says, oh, Cadwin. Cadwin sends a little. What are these called? Super chats, and he says, "Congrats on 10,000 subs, Blade. Super happy for how far you've come." Oh, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. It's been a long road to get to 10,000, and it's weird. It's nice. I started this whole thing during the pandemic just to pass time and like interact with people, and it's lovely to see people actually like engaging and being interested. That's super fun. Um, sorry, I got distracted. I was trying to see. We gonna see a game of heresy on the channel? Says Big Joe Flo. I maybe I really like heresy, but it is such a complicated game, and there's so much going on with it. There's the joke in our Warhammer club that heresy is just man reads book the game, because most of the game is spent with us just huddled over like books trying to figure out rules interactions. And either we'd see all of that in the like the video, or alternatively uh it would take so much editing because I'd be stopping all of the time that I don't know if it would be worth it. So maybe, 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 but I'm not like super jazzed about it in the immediate sense. But at some point, it's very possible. Have you considered introducing Imperial agent detachments into your army to get some chaff units? I have, and you'll see this like just in the way that I engage with the hobby. Uh, I see a lot of other people doing that, like bringing exaction squads and things like that. And because I see a lot of other people doing it, I really don't want to, which makes me sound like the biggest hipster. But anytime I see, like with the triple librarians thing that everybody seems to be doing, everybody's like, oh, that's what Grey Knights need to do in order to like deal with heavy armor and stuff. I I see people doing that, And I see everyone doing that and saying it's the way to play Grey Knights, and that makes me want to avoid it, which sounds so lame, but it makes me want to be like, "Fuck you, I don't wanna just do it because it's the right way to play it. I wanna play my guys the way I wanna play them." But I have an Inquisition, like, kill team over here that I'm working on so that I can start playing kill team at our club on Tuesday nights, and I might just legitimately bring, like, an inquisitorial, like, retinue to wander alongside my Inquisitor, which could be really fun, so they could hold backfield objectives and things like that. Who knows, maybe do their little psychic shenanigans because it comes with painted up a mystic as well for my inquisitorial team. So a little bit of psychic powers in there. Not that that means much nowadays. Oh, my neighbors are out, and that their little dog is yipping, and that's I would close my windows so that you guys don't have to hear that. But it's so fucking hot in Seattle that I don't think that I can. What else have we got? Boo boo boo. Catman lick tail, says Will Geisler. Are your Talarn going to break your 3-4 armor rule you mentioned when you sold off your Exorcist? I know you said you've had them for some time, but haven't heard you talk about them much. Good question. So my Talarn are my third army. Right now I have Talarn and Grey Knights and my like Seraphon Tau, which like hold on, I'm just hearing lots of dogs outside, and I'm worried that it's mine. No, it's not. Okay, great. Um, I have my Lizardman Tau, but I don't really consider them like an army that I have because I have exactly zero desire to play them. They're more just like a shelf piece, like a display piece. I have them at Waystone, and they sit around, and people just really like looking at them and commenting on them. So they're more like an art piece than they are like an actual army, which is the excuse that I'm going to use now. But that would be my third army. I don't know if I can count word bearers because they're for a separate game system, Horus Heresy. So I have Grey Knights, Lizardmen Tau, and Talarn. All right. Oh god, the focus on this thing. This poor little shitty webcam. Come on, buddy. There you go. Good boy. Okay. There we go. All right. What do we got? Howdy. What are we painting tonight? Says Phil Gagnon. Gagnon. What are we painting? We are painting Talarn Desert Raiders that I got from Victoria Miniatures. They are absolutely lovely little models with a ton of character, and I have a lot of fun painting them. Oh, you know what I need to do? I need to put a wash on to the bases here, because that, if I recall, is another step of my whole process with these. So yeah, we'll move on from this shortly. I know this isn't the most exciting aspect of it, but it's necessary. You think librarians or grandmaster are the best non-named character? Oh, so that is tricky. That is difficult to say, simply because, and I said this in my I said this in my like thoughts on 8th or 10th edition video. I don't know if I'm qualified to say what is the best unit because I'm just another Grey Knights player, but I think I might say mm, it's tricky because librarians on the one hand they have that massive burst of damage that they can do with their like smite thing. Um, Honestly, though, grandmasters with their 7 wounds, like, Samandus has proven to be exceptionally tanky. He's just having 7 wounds and being able to, use a free strat once per game has been exceptionally good with him at keeping him alive and having him do, like, turn 1 deep strikes 3 inches away with first to the fray and things like that. I've really enjoyed the flexibility and utility of him. And you know what? Because other people say librarians, I'm going to say Grey Knights to be contrary. Do you have horror stories when playing Warhammer? Ooh. Ooh, that is a good one. I have a really sad story from this last weekend, if anybody is curious about that. Um, It's it's short and it's sweet, but it's 10th edition sadness. Don't and this is I'm not shitting on 10th edition. I love 10th edition. I'm having so much fun with 10th edition, but it is I was playing against Imperial Knights and I knew that he was going to body me just because I have no way of beating Imperial Knights. And I deep striked Samandus 3 inches away, and I used the ability that lets him get a free like strat. And I mentioned that to my opponent. I was like, I'm going to use my Grandmaster's once per game free strat. Like he costs 0 command points. And my opponent looks at me and he knows Warhammer. And he knows all of his tricks. And he's playing Imperial Knights. He's playing a pretty meta Imperial Knights list. And so he was like, it's once per turn. And I just looked at him and was like, I know the Space Marines one is once per turn, and I know that the like Tyranids one is once per turn, and I know the Gene Stealers one is once per turn, but mine isn't. It's it's once per game, and he looks at me just like I'm the biggest fucking idiot in the entire world, and says, no, it's definitely once per turn. You've misread it. And it was like game 3 of that day, and I was so tired, and I just looked at him, and in my mind, I was like, "Please don't make me look this up and be really sad." But he insisted that I was wrong, that I was playing it should be once per turn, but I was playing it once per game, and I was cheating myself. So we opened up the app, and we both looked at it, and then we looked at the data card, and he was like, "That sucks." And I was like, "I know, I'm sad that you forced me into, like, reading this again," and it just made me it was just a bad moment. Man, that whole oh, man. That that guy at least was trying to help me out, though. I remember at LVO 2020, during, Space Marine winter, I went, I came up against this is when they so Space Marine Winter. If anybody wasn't there, it was late 8th edition when the second Space Marines Codex came out, and they were just fucking bodying everyone. It was a terrible time, and Space Marines, both Iron Hands and Imperial Fist flavor, were just unstoppable. And I walked up to the table that had almost no terrain on it, looked at my opponent's army, and it was all Space Marines, airbrushed bright green with 3 repulsor executioners, 9 eliminators, and the chaplain, the Imperial Fist chaplain that gives full hit rerolls and full wound rerolls to everything around it. And like, boy, I looked at this guy's list and just saw the sheer horror and knew that all of these executioners, eliminators, plasma inceptors, they would just erase my Grey Knights off the board without me even doing anything. And there was no cover, and Imperial Fist ignore cover anyway. And so I walked up to the guy and I was like, "Hey, what's the name of your chapter?" And he was like, "I don't know, unnamed Imperial Fist's successor." And it just made my skin crawl. That this was a guy who had painted up this whole army recently because of the Space Marine buffs just to stomp people at the LVO friendly tournament. Not even like the GT in LVO, it was the friendly. And I knew that he could ignore the benefit of cover. He could see everywhere on the map. So I just deep strike half my army, deployed my other half on the deployment line, just being like, "Oh, if anybody survives, we're going to move forward and charge." I got second turn, and he erased 1,000 points of Grey Knights turn 1. So I brought down the second half of my army turn 2, and he erased all of that except for Samandus. He was the only model that survived, and I just kept Gate of Infinitying him and teleporting him around the map for the rest of the 3 turns, and I fucking squeaked out a win in that one. I won by like 2 or 3 points when you can only do like it was only like games back then were only like 15 to 20 points. But I snuck out a win without killing a unit in his whole army just from teleporting and teleporting and drawing the right cards and getting objective and things. And it was so cool. But then my opponent got really salty because his army was supposedly unstoppable, and he brought his unstoppable army into the fucking Grey Knight into the like against Grey Knights in the friendly tournament, and I won. And his buddy comes up to him, like, while we're wrapping up, and he's fuming, and his buddy's like, "How'd this one go?" And my opponent, who again had all of his units on the board, who brought 3 repulsor executioners, 9 eliminators, et cetera, in the worst, in my opinion, the worst balance that Warhammer's had since I've been playing. He looks to his friend and says, "Grey Knights are so OP." And I was just like, "What the fuck, my guy?" And I looked back at our table and I was like, You tabled me. I have 1 model left. If you'd killed him, I would have lost because you tabled me." And he was just like, "You shouldn't be able to teleport like that. You shouldn't be able to move around like that. Like, if I killed almost everything, I should have won that match." And I was just like, "Dog, I outplayed you. This was not like this was not my fucking rules or dice favoring me. You erased me. I outplayed you. Don't try to take this victory from me." And I walked away so like I didn't fight him on it because, I mean, numbers are numbers and you can't change what people think, but God, I walked away from that feeling so bad about that win, which should have been a fucking awesome come from behind uh victory. It was just it was an unfortunate experience. I do want to make sure I point out that at tournaments also I have a ton of incredibly lovely experiences with great people, and the bad ones, the horror stories, those are the exception and not the rule. All right, I haven't looked at chat in a minute. Let's set that down to dry and see what people are saying. Oh, it's Rick. Hello, Rick. Rick is in there. Mm-mm-mm. What do we got? My big numbers. Uh, that dude sounds miserable to play against. Sorry you had a bad experience. He's. I'm sure he was just having a day. Sometimes I don't know, some people just want to win as well. Running a Warhammer club, you see plenty of people who play the game not because they are there to have fun or tell stories. They just want to win. And some people, that's how they engage in hobbies like this. They literally just like they want to win. That is how they have fun. They play to win, which for me sounds poisonous, and I would not want to engage in that. So I don't care if I win, but that's fine. Let's see what we got. Mhm. Our community would shame a person like that so hard he'd never do it again. Ooh, spicy. Now what do I do while I'm waiting for this to dry? So the next step, what do I got? Oh, I have my sheet. I can look at my sheet. Hmm. We did the pants. We did the egg racks on the shirt. This is my incredible handwriting. What can we do? Oh, I know what we can do while we're taking a moment to let this, because I don't want to go. There's some details, and this is a good tip that I recommend for everybody. If you're going to be doing dry brushing, avoid blocking out certain pieces on your model that would get fucked up by the dry brushing. So, for example, I have my dry brush right here, this fancy little makeup brush. I'm going to go through and dry brush Ushabti bone onto the top of all of their coats and stuff just to bring out the edges. But if I started painting the other aspects of it before I did that, I would invariably get some of the Ushabti bone on the other blocking pieces. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm looking for things that I can do while I'm waiting for this to dry. And I think what I can do, las guns. Let's start getting the las guns. So I think that's Mornfang is what I use. The sheet. Mornfang for the las guns and boots. Let's do it. Does your crab friend have a name? No, he's just Paint Crab. It never even occurred to me to give him a name. He's just Paint Crab. Just a happy little helper. Hang out there, Paint Crab. Hold my paintbrush. Thank you. All right, we have D'Artagnan and Tim the Paint Crab. Argent Ophidian is one of my players in my Pathfinder game, and he is making a reference 10 years old to our old one of our old campaigns from a decade back, D'Artagnan the Crab. All right, let's see. Caesar Fortson. By the way, I'm sure someone has asked already, but do you think that the Grandmaster's ROB equivalent is going to be made once per round? Ooh, I would like to hope so, but I don't want to hold my breath on that simply because, you know, I don't like to be salty and say Games Workshop will not amend that or will not change it because maybe they could. But all the Chaos Space Marine players out there remember how long it took them to give Chaos Space Marines 2 wounds when it seems like a simple thing that should have just been brought up. I was in the same boat for a while with my Grey Knights. We didn't have our second wound for a long time, so I felt compassion there. But I think that it definitely was supposed to be once per round, and it wasn't. However, I don't think it's high on Games Workshop's like correction uh, priority list to fix that. All right, get a little bit of water. Boop. So Mornfang Brown onto the Lasgun stocks and the boots. That's what we're gonna do now. And I'm only gonna do the bottoms of the boots for these. I like how I'm talking about this as if you guys are also painting Talarn along with me, when really I'm just doing this myself. But you know what? That's fine. I'm having a good time just painting my little desert warriors. I like guard, or I like playing. I think I enjoy playing guard because they're so different from my Grey Knights. They have just an entirely different sort of like approach and ethos to them that I rarely get to experience having an elite army like Grey Knights. Speaking of campaigns, my brocap named for you is doing rather well in Crusade. Hell yeah! That's a huge honor. I love that. Crab name suggestion. Asmoranomardicadistenedicularcar, a real name for a magic card. Holy shit, no way. Will says, when are you going to start Drukhari? Never, never. I will never start an Eldar force of any flavor, at any point, for any reason. I have never painted an Eldar model, and I probably never will, because I don't like them. No offense to all elves, but I hate you, and I don't want to play you. Dustin's an elf. I love him, but they're terrible. They're awful. They don't want people to double Mists of Demos. I don't know. People already double up on a bunch of, like, tell that to Gene Stealers. They already double up on a lot of really terrible, awful stratagems. What do we think? Should this guy's box that he's holding be Mornfang as well? Yeah. Oh, Rick's painting Terminators. Excellent. That is a noble thing. Ooh, Jacob Fisher. Wow, you really hate Eldar. What's with the hatred? Hate is a strong word. I have just Dustin. You and all know Dustin. You know and love Dustin. He started Eldar shortly after. Focus. Gosh, this camera. This piece of really old camera. Come on, you can do it. Do your thing. Dustin started Eldar as his first Warhammer army, and Eldar have always been very good, and Dustin is always also, come on, focus. Dustin is also a very, very good like game player. Like, just in any game we've ever had, Dustin is very good. He understands these kinds of things. He groks them, he picks them up, and then he destroys me at them. So I have, since Dustin started understanding Eldar and playing Eldar, I think I've maybe won one game against him over the last 5 or 6 years. They're just so powerful, Eldar. They basically just defy the rules of the game and do anything that they want. And if I'm honest, it's a fun meme to hate on Eldar. I don't genuinely hate like people who play Eldar, but filthy knife ears. That's all we have to say about that. And then what else have we got? Well, Eldar would be okay if they played like Marines. Should be painted like Ark of the Covenant. Ooh, that's a fun idea. I'm gonna look up a reference for the Ark of the Covenant and paint this guy's box like that. I love that. You ever just prime some Orca, says Delicious Relish. Prime some Orca. I don't know how to interpret that one. I'm not sure what you mean, Delicious Relish. But no, I have never primed an Orca. Perhaps someday I will prime an Orca. Who knows? The Dustin D2 armor maths. Yeah. Yeah. Again, that's Will referencing Dustin when he used to play Destiny with us. He maximized his hunter because of course he was a hunter to an insane degree. That's just who he is. He just gets really, really good at games, and anything that he plays becomes incredibly powerful. That's just his way. That's who he is. Monkey, says the gremlin. Fletcher, I'm also working on some models, building a 10-man squad of Rubiks. I like the quotation marks because they're all not people. They're just dust golems. Building the new Terminator librarian is a Grey Knight for my army. I want to replace the stockpiled with GK Terminator ones. Yeah, it's true. The etched runes on the new Terminator look very cool. You know what bit I really, really like? I want the librarian, but not because I want to paint him up as Grey Knights. I just really want that hand of his, that like extended hand where he's like clearly casting some sort of spell. I just want to take that and put it on a Grey Knight. I think it would be so sick. Which is, it's I'm not gonna like buy the librarian specifically for a hand. That's probably not the best use of cash for a single conversion bit. $30 or whatever that librarian is might not be the best call. But that was the bit that immediately stuck out to me. And when you get to the point where you're just kit bashing a lot and putting a lot of stuff together, you kind of start to just see new models as bits, like as places to scavenge pieces from. So that's where we are emotionally. What does the Ark of the Covenant look like? Silver? I'm gonna Google that real quick. Ark of the Covenant. Oh, gold. Hell yeah, we're gonna do that. Oh, that's right. I remember this. God, what a good movie. Yeah, I want to paint this like the Ark of the Covenant. So that'll be a later portion of this. That is an excellent idea. Thank you for that. Mm, why play Hunter when Titan existed? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Titan was the best class in uh, Destiny. Still is the best class in Destiny. I don't know why I said was as if the game is dead. It's still technically around. It's just in a slow period. The hand is sick. The Libby in the combat patrol has a good hand that looks like casting. He is. Yeah. I don't know. I can't explain why, but I've never really liked the typical Space Marine librarian look with the psychic hood and all the tubes and things. It just doesn't feel, I don't know, there's something off about the whole look of Space Marine librarians. And so I painted a few up for my Grey Knights just because they're pretty iconic like parts of the Brotherhoods, but I've never been super drawn to them. They don't do it for me, which is fine. It just means I'm not going to paint a lot more of them. And I tend to, especially as I start to accrue a lot more points of various different armies, I buy models because I like them. I think they're cool and I want to paint them. Rarely do I buy models simply because I want to like utilize them to win. It has happened. It absolutely has happened. But even that Vindicare that I brought to Tacoma, I didn't. I didn't like pick one up to run in my list. I was literally going through a drawer looking for matches at home, and I found a Vindicare like assembled and primed, and I was just like, "Shit, okay, well, I guess I'll bring this guy along to Tacoma. Let's do that, I guess." How do you feel about Grey Knight's flyers just now? The Storm Talon seems interesting considering it can allow us on twos. I built a list and I have two Stormhawk interceptors and a Storm Raven, and I built a list that utilizes two Storm Talon interceptors, and I think they might have actually some play. I've yet to use it, but it's Rhino toughness, so T9 3 up save, But honestly, the Storm Talons are just like the Storm Hawk Interceptor. It's so covered in guns. It might be our cheapest way to get like reliable las cannon shooting because it's got its twin las cannon up front, except it's not a twin las cannon, it's a las talon, so it actually has two shots. And then it has the crack missiles and assault cannons. And that's actually like a good amount of guns for 160 points. And you can deep strike it so it can come in wherever and shoot what you need it to. I'm going to try bringing two of them to a game soon, and I think they might actually be a good harassing units. They're not gonna I don't think they're gonna really, like, kill much of anything, but they're gonna draw some fire, and I think then if I'm lucky, they might take down a light tank or 2. Like, I actually honestly think they might have some play. We'll have to try it out and see. Do you have any interest in, do you have any interest in Legions Imperialis? Oh, yeah, the new I do, just because it's, I don't know. It's a different project. They're so small and it might be really, really fun to paint them. I have some here. Let me pull them out. They're in a drawer here. I have some. Oh, where are they? Ah, here it is. You can tell because it's the heavy box. So I have these that I bought years ago on a whim, and it's. Oh, come on! It's so hot. It's difficult for me to like grab things right now. Anyway, it's tiny space marines and tiny rhinos that might actually be too small for epic. No, that looks probably like about the right size. But like it's just a bunch of tiny space marines and tiny little rhinos. And I bought these years ago just because I thought I was like, that's fun. That might be cute. And I have done nothing with them. But look, these little guys with flags, little command squads. So many of them. I don't know why I bought these, but I've had these for a long time. So if these are the right scale, I might actually like plop them together and play some Legions Imperialis with it because it does look like a fun set. I do like trying out different games for like Games Workshop games, and it can be really fun. And again, a new painting project is always nice. It's why I'm painting up an Inquisitorial kill team right now. But yeah, could be a good time. Yes is the answer. Working on a really wacky kit bash of AOS to make a GM NDK, using Chrome, Mephiston, and Celestin Prime to try and make a more super Grandmaster instead of a mech. Getting them to mesh together is tough. Oh, interesting. I like that idea. I totally didn't expect to catch this live stream. Time zones are hard, says Simon C. Simon C, where are you from? I realized actually after posting this that a lot of my viewers are in Europe, so it's not it's not the most conducive time for them to be doing this at 7 o'clock on a Sunday. Because I think it's like 4 a.m. in London right now, something like that. So not the most accessible time frame. But I didn't think about that ahead of time. Maybe next time we'll do it Sunday morning. That way we can get more people to jump in. What legion would you paint your boys as for it? New Zealand, Simon C says. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's midday for you. What legion would you paint your boys as? I'd probably continue painting word bearers just because I like to stay on theme. I've got about 6,000 points of Horus Heresy word bearers, and I wouldn't really want to. I don't know. Maybe salamanders. Maybe I'd want to do something different. But I really like painting red, which sounds so lame, but I just really like red as a color, and I would just want to paint up more red. I really like painting my red. I really like painting my red vehicles for my word bearers, and it'd be fun just to do a bunch of tiny little red and black word bearers. I've always really liked the way that red and black work together, and I know that's the traditional like villain color scheme, so I don't know what sort of light that paints me in, but I really like how they look together. And I do all of my Inquisition stuff that way, so I've got all my Scions, which I'm running for my Inquisition kill team, and they're all red and black. So it's just a really those colors work really well together, and I really like them. And then all the like I showed her earlier. This is another member of my kill team. She's red and black as well. I've got a preacher for my kill team. She's also red and black. And then I've got my interrogator for my kill team, also red and black. So that's probably what I guess I just like all that. But I really like painting red, so I probably will do more word bearers in my if I do Legions Imperialis. But it could be fun. You're the David Hasselhoff of Warhammer Grey Knight streamers, Jasper says. Oh, I don't know how to respond to that. I hope good. It's good. I hope that's a good thing. So I hope that's great. The David Hasselhoff of Warhammer streamers. That makes me laugh. All right, you're done. Next one. There's always a better Red Legion, Thousand Suns. If my brother didn't play Thousand Suns, then maybe. But it's important to me, and my friends know this about my hobbies. It's important to me that I do something different than other people are doing. It's less important what the thing is, and more that I'm just doing a different thing than them. I like people to have unique identities when it comes to various hobbies, which is why I this is some like weird, almost like disturbed shit. But a couple weekends ago, when everybody started realizing that like Grey Knights aren't in a great spot, and I got a lot of messages on Discord and Instagram and stuff from different people who were asking me what we're gonna do because it seems like Grey Knights are ass. My like gut response to that was just like, yeah, that's right. Get out of here, people who are just trying to win. Yeah, Grey Knights fucking like true fans only, which is super toxic and bad. But my like immediate response was joy that other people were gonna like leave my faction to me alone, which is stupid. It's not conducive to healthy hobby space, but that's just what my brain did. It was like, yes, leave them to me, which is very silly. I like this guy's sniper rifle. Are sniper rifles good with Astra Militarum? I don't actually know. Well, he has one, so I hope it does something and is cool or neat. It's probably not great against Tyranids, which I think these guys are going to play against a lot. Need more Grey Knights demand to motivate Primaris rescale. I would love new Grey Knights models. Obviously not Primaris because Grey Knights don't like Belisarius Call has said that you can't like there's nothing to improve on with the Grey Knights gene seed, so Primaris wouldn't really make sense. There's no reason to do that. But a new scale would be cool. In the meantime, I've got the lovely upscaled legs from Archie's Forge, which is a great website. It's where I picked up those upscaled legs that they designed, and I am very happy putting those on all of my Terminators for the foreseeable future. They are gorgeous products. I found an old metal Grey Knights Warrior Acolyte at my local store a few weeks ago and picked it up. Anyone know anything about these guys? Grey Knights Acolyte. Oh, that's an Inquisitorial Acolyte. It's old. Actually, I have an old codex here that talks about them, but it's what these guys are, the Inquisition like kill team stuff that I've been talking about. Like it's what these guys are. They're just like inquisitorial henchmen, like the retinue, and that's what they're representing with various weapon options. But yeah, I am enjoying coming back to these guys. I'm remembering how I used to paint them in the past, and those memories are flowing back, which was making it easier to address them. Whenever I play something and an update makes it worse, I always take it as a cool puzzle to solve, such as my Space Wolves and their dumb sagas. I got to 3/4 of the bend of battle around. Hey, nice. Sean Bertrand says his Inquisitorial Acolyte doesn't have weapons. He has a tiki torch. Sick. He's probably like a like a standard bearer or an icon bearer of some sort. This guy's got a cool pose. Look at this dude, just signaling for like reinforcements to come in. What do you think of Chaos Gate Demon Hunters? Oh, I know that this is not great, but I have yet to play it. I just don't have a machine that can run it. I've got a MacBook, and it is not financially feasible for me to get a gaming PC. So because it can't run on Mac, I have not played Chaos Gates Demon Hunters, which is wild because I feel like Grey Knights are such a big part of my identity, and there's Grey Knights video game, and I just never played it. I hear it's really good, and I'd love to play it, and someday maybe I'll get the opportunity to it. But for now, I haven't had that chance. The occasion hasn't presented itself. Which, you know what? Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes stuff happens, and you can't engage in a thing, even if you think it's really cool, and it just passes you by. Oh well, though. Lewis Morrow, yeah, Lewis Meow, thank you. Oh, thank you, Warmaster Bloodgrave. Good day from Australia. I've just built my first Grey Knights army. I love your painting tutorials as they are not over the top in detail for us beginners. Thank you. Hey, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. That's been my approach. Also, thank you for the super chat. That is incredibly kind of you. That's always been my approach with like making videos or posts or anything like that as far as like painting and everything. I just I just I don't know. I feel like whenever I'm like, I want to paint a purity seal and I look it up, there's like a 15-minute video and it always begins with first grab your airbrush. And I'm like, well, I can't do that, so I guess I won't watch this video. I really, really value the Warhammer TV tutorials for that reason. They're usually very quick unless they're purposefully very long. And I find that super valuable because you can just see what they do. And if you need to more detail in a part, you just repeat it over and over again. So I appreciate that you think that my tutorials have gotten that sort of like brevity to them. That's the word I'm looking for because that's what I've been going for with those. All right, lads, time for us to throw enough money in to get him a gaming PC. The Grandmaster requires a new cogitator. I don't even know where I'd put a new gaming PC. Airbrush for purity seal sounds like using a Titan to kill one nerdling. I might have been exaggerating with that, but definitely like every like power sword tutorial I've seen online has been people talking about that they're always take out your airbrush and do this, which I think airbrushes are great and they deliver some fantastic results. Like I've seen some beautiful models done. I've seen some beautiful models done with airbrushes, but if I'm being absolutely honest, I don't like the like setup and teardown of an airbrush, and I do this for fun. um, I'm not trying. I guess this sounds silly. I was about to say I'm not trying to make the best model I can. I always am trying to like make the best painted model that I can. But first and foremost, I do this because I just have a great goddamn time doing this. Like it's a ton of fun. It's my relaxation. It's what I do when I've had a like stressful day and I want to come home and just do something and enjoy it. I always come in, I sit down and do this. And an airbrush isn't fun for me. I just don't enjoy it, which is okay. Like you can have sometimes there's just aspects of a hobby that don't engage with you, so you don't grab it. Yeah, hand painted seems like more love. It really does, honestly. And like not to rag on airbrushing because airbrushing is a lovely tool, but it's I don't know. It's like an electric bike or a like an actual like foot powered bicycle. There's appeal. I can see that both of them get you to the place ultimately, but one of them just feels a little nicer. If a cheap airbrush I got buying a collection of someone leaving the game completely. I only drag it out when I don't like how colors work with regular paints. Yeah, and I do use an airbrush. I use an airbrush for basing minis, like putting the base color on minis. Um, like with these guys, I airbrushed Army Painter's desert yellow onto them as like the base color for them. And whenever I need to do like a big like a lot of like base coating like that, or like with my word bearers, I always airbrush corn red on as the base color to get a nice smooth red across the whole thing, and that's really valuable. And again, an airbrush is a valuable tool. I don't enjoy using it as much. How much is an airbrush anyway? God, who knows? I didn't buy mine. Mine was a gift from my mother-in-law maybe 7 years ago. So I cannot speak to how much an airbrush costs these days. Ooh, excuse me. But yeah, these little guys are so fancy. They're Games Workshop doesn't make. I really like the Talarn as an idea, and Games Workshop doesn't make Talarn models anymore. They're all out of print metal models, so the only way for me to get them is to go to some third-party site. And Victoria Miniatures, she does an incredible job of making like off the beaten path regiments, and the Talarn that she does are a great example of that. And I've really enjoyed painting them, and they look really cool. They've got heroic proportions, but not too like deformed. Um, you ever notice that when you're modeling up something and uh, you notice that like heroic scale is just wildly different from accurate scale? Oh, there's Will. Go for it, lads. Super chat this stream to the moon, he says. I appreciate that, buddy. Um, but yeah, what's a good example? Here, I'll show you. So, like, for example, uh, this is like old style GW, like heroic scale, where it's like super deformed. These Talarn are a little more reasonable, but still heroic scale. You really see it in the Tempestus Scions and a lot of other like Imperial Guard minis. Like they've got like wide shoulders, thick legs, and you're just like, yeah, it's a person, but you know, it's like heavily armored or whatever. But when you compare person to, so my interrogator here, she has like human proportions and spindliness. This guy is like a fucking beast monster, like an ape man. Like imagine if you saw somebody with proportions like this in the real world. Like imagine what his skeleton looks like. It's wild. So like uh like to scale proportion and heroic scale, like heroic scale is what most Games Workshop stuff uses, and I think it looks great. And these are kind of like a little bit in that like mid realm between heroic scale and like true scale, and I like them. I think that Victoria, what is her name? Victoria Ape Man Tempestus. NFL players, Simon C says. Yeah, accurate. Um what is her name? Victoria. Oh man, she runs Victoria Miniatures. Oh no, she's great. She was a Golden Demon winner. I'm trying to. Oh, I hate that I don't remember her name. That is too bad. It'll come to me as soon as the stream is done. Ed says, "To the moon, boys." Okay, now it's a meme. Thank you, Ed. We always used to say in my game group that the old guardsmen had huge comical heads and dinner plate wide hands. Yep, yeah, accurate, accurate, accurate. But yeah, these miniatures are a nice like middle point. Victoria Lamb, that's her name. There we go. There we go. Nailed it. So it always, but yeah, she makes excellent stuff. I'd recommend checking out Victoria Miniatures if you haven't before, and if you're interested in like offshoot guard stuff. Hero scale and real human scale is like old and new Repentia. Yeah, that's a really good comparison. The old Repentia are literally like cartoon characters, and the new ones are uh, still a little strange in scale, but they work really well for miniatures, and they look a lot more natural than the old ones. Man, the old Repentia were wild. Just sexy ladies covered in ripped up purity seals holding giant chain swords. That was one that was desperately in need of like a revamp, and they did a good job. Good job, guys. I always really like the Adeptus Sororitas models, the Sisters of Battle. I think they're really, really, really cool. And I've bought into Sisters maybe 3 times where I buy like a couple different kits and I start putting together and I start painting them. And every time I get to the painting step, I'm just like, fuck, there's so many details on these models. And they're beautiful models. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love how gorgeous the models are, but my God, they're so there's so much detail on them. Cadwin says, "To the moon." Oh, you guys, this is unnecessary, and I appreciate your immense kindness. I will put that $5 towards a laptop or a Thunderhawk. Who knows? I have set myself a goal for as like a capstone project for my Grey Knights. At the end of the year, I want to buy myself a Thunderhawk. So I'm setting aside a little bit of money. Um, I'm setting aside a little bit of money every month with every paycheck, and I'm making sure that not making sure, but I'm setting aside money, a little bit of money every month to buy myself a Thunderhawk for Christmas. So we'll add that to my Thunderhawk fund, Kedwin. Thank you. We got one Sisters model. Oh, the one in the Harlequin. Yeah. That's very silly. GW Thunderhawk or third-party sculpt. Do they have third-party sculpts? I'd go for the GW one just because where I can, I like to make sure that my models are all GW stuff. That way it just there's like a fun challenge about that, like being able to like say like these were all drawn from quote unquote legitimate kits. And B, like if I go to events and I want to bring stuff to events, I never have to worry about like if someone's gonna uh, catch if my like stuff is not truly Games Workshop or whatever. And obviously, like the Talarn are a huge exception here. Uh, the entire line is third party stuff, which this is just an army for fun anyway. It's just sit on a shelf and look really cool, and then they'll come out and fight some Tyranids or some elves every now and then. Nothing beyond that. Hearing that you use a Mac is like hearing the Castellan Crow uses a demon sword. So if I'm being absolutely honest, I'm very dumb. I'm not a tech person. I don't understand how technology works. Whenever I hear friends talking about tech stuff, it sounds like wizards talking about their reagents. And I don't understand. And Macs are very simple. They're brightly colored. They have a lot of really shiny buttons. And whenever you install something, it says, drag this into this folder. You did it. Good job. And gives you a little firework display. And that makes my little brain very happy. So Macs are very user friendly. And I know there's a lot of problems with them, but they're exceptionally user friendly. They just make my brain, they help out my sad, tiny fighter brain. Derpidin, I try to get most of my things from official sources, but I can't get myself to buy Forge World resin. If you buy Forge World resin post like 2000, maybe 16, 17, it's really good. Like a lot of their more recent kits are really, really nice. But a lot of their older stuff is absolute garbage. And I think the Thunderhawk might be on the too old to be good scale. But we'll see. But it's like I don't know. It'd be a really fun project that I could spend multiple weeks on, and it would look really cool. And nowadays, Thunderhawks are actually good, which is really nice. And this is the first time in 3 editions that Thunderhawks have actually been good. So it might actually be fun and motivate me to actually build and paint one up. I still want to get the newest Horus models someday. Oh, he's so cool atop the like striding atop the pile of skulls. That's a really, really good one. Horus Ascended. Matsuyo Twisting Truth costs the same as a good machine for filming or hosting. What is that? Oh, are you Graham? That's Graham. That's Graham shitting on my fucking streaming setup. Yes, it's garbage. I know it's garbage. And I've got my little webcam out here and I'm doing this. And yes, I understand, but I'm engaging and I'm having a good time, Graham. Dark Furies are definitely the only things I'll ever get off Forge World. Fletch, did you not like how the Dark Furies turned out? They looked really cool, but it sounds like you might have been disappointed with them. I'll wait for that. I don't know. I've ordered some stuff from Forge World and been really happy with it, and then ordered some other stuff from Forge World and been really disappointed. I think it just depends on the age of the sculpt, um, which they don't actually put like a date on the website, so it's difficult to tell when stuff is from. Hooray! But yeah, I think a Thunderhawk might be in my near future, maybe 6 months. There was a guy at the Tacoma Open, a Grey Knights player, who brought a Grey Knights Thunderhawk, and I walked up to him and was like, "You are my fucking hero. Thank you for doing this." And he was like, "Oh shit, one last blade. I've seen your YouTube channel." And I was like, "Thanks, man. Can we take a picture together because you brought a Thunderhawk to GT, and that makes me happy. You are the coolest guy I've ever met." And I'll post video of it in the next few days. It's so cool. It just so for those who don't know, what makes the Thunderhawk actually good, it has an ability that like if a unit with a deep strike disembarks from it, then that unit can charge. So you can fly the Thunderhawk on, shit people out, and then they can charge out of it, which is really cool. Oh, there's an ant. Hello, ant. Crawling across my little table here. All right. One guy's Lascans to go, and then we can go back to doing the dry brushing on the tunics. One thing people will observe is I am a very slow painter. Do you have any Storm Ravens? I do. I have one that I painted many, many years ago, and I never play it because it was like one of my first models that I painted, so I never play it. But with the advent of 10th edition, it made me really excited, so I stripped the Storm Raven and started repainting it. And I finished, and it looks really, really cool. I'm really happy with it. Graham Matzi or Twisting Truths gives 9.99 for the hype train. I appreciate the hype train. Graham, were you in here earlier when I was talking shit about you to the Poor Hammer guys? I don't think you were. Well, he said hashtag one last Kopesh, and I talked about how you hate social media and engaging with people and this kind of thing. So I appreciate you being here. 9 is a good number. Oh man, you're right. He did 3 nines. Oh man, damn it. He snuck some zine shit in here and I didn't even notice. Ah man, that's disappointing. Past the censors and everything. Yeah, the Poor Hammer guys, they're super cool. They deserve every view and every like subscriber they get. They do amazing content. If you guys haven't checked out Poor Hammer, strong recommendation. They're really good folks who make consistent, high quality content. I'm new to the hobby. My first army is Thousand Suns. Take me a while to learn how to paint them optimally and in decent time. Well, there are a fair number of Thousand Suns players in the chat at the moment. So you might be in good company right now. Just finished building the new Librarian Terminator. Decided to go with Grey Knight Pauldrons and also replace the head of the Force Axe with Demon Hammer. Rip Demon Hammers. Yeah, I actually recently painted up Inquisitor Cotias specifically because he is the only model in the game that remains with a Nemesis Demon Hammer. And I don't know. I wanted to paint a Demon Hammer and actually have it have Demon Hammer rules. And his Demon Hammer has 6 stats too. Strength 9, AP 3, 3 damage. I would fucking kill for that. Grey Knights have such trouble cracking armor in elites. We just don't. Grey Knights just can't kill anything these days. Which, if points go down or stuff changes, maybe that'll be different. But for now, it's just a really tough place to be when it comes to being a Grey Knight and wanting to actually like do some damage on the tabletop. All right, that's all of the Mornfang for the las guns and the boots. So we're gonna go to Shabti Bone. We're going to do that with the dry brush and our little fancy, we're going to go with a little, what are these called? My wife called them elf brushes. There it is. Yeah, eyeshadow brush. It was $2 at Target, and it's the best dry brush I've ever bought. Hello, paint crab. I need you to get out of my way so I can find your shabby bone. Hello, ant. Here it is. Cody has is cool, but it's hurtful to see the demon hammer not on the Knight of Titan. Yeah, suck. Okay, let's get some dry brushing in here. Boop, 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 boop. How do you all do dry brushing? Do you tend to get all of the paint off the brush, or do you tend to just be really light with the touch? I like to, once I've done that, I like to get as much of it off as possible onto my paper towel until I can barely see it on there. That might even be too much, but look at that. All right. Now we'll start taking these guys. We're going to do some light dry brushing across their tunics. Oops, yeah, that's far too much. Yeah, it filled in the recesses. We just want a little bit just to brighten up the coat. See, even that's too much. Looks like a white. All right, let's get some more off. Just rubbing it real hard into the paper towel. That's better. There we go. Even that might be a little too bright. We're going to go just a light touch. You have a really bright coat, and that's fine. Sometimes people have really bright coats. So yeah, I'm going to be very judicious with this. There we go. Oh, much better. So I'm doing this so that I'm doing this early on, the dry brushing, so that I can get back at it later. So I can do all the details in there later and not have to worry about going in and highlighting the coat or anything, which, very common. Much better. That's the effect I'm going for right there. Like a little bit of a highlighted edges on his coat. That's exactly what I'm looking for. All right, where am I putting the finished folk? Off to the side over there. All right, then we got Mr. Dude who looks like he's holding a beer bottle, but it's actually like a detonator of some sort. But does look like he's just hanging out and having a drink in the middle of battle. A little too bright on that one. Need to be lighter with that. Well, they're just guardsmen, so that'll turn out fine. But yeah, you notice, so I went a little too heavy with the dry brush there, and it really made it turn like white, which is a shame. I try to avoid dry brushing as much as possible. I just am not very good with it. I'm same, but it's one of those things that I really like as a technique, and it's really quick. So I try to keep up the practice with it, and eventually I'll get a really good feel for it. All right, hers turned out really good. There we go. Check that out. Boom. That's the effect I'm looking for. Yeah, this poor guy, his whole thing got ruined. That's fine. He sucks anyway. He'll be first to die. I prefer not to use a paper towel. I think paper towels take too much of the water out of the paint, which would make it a bit difficult to get it to look the way I like. Oh, interesting, Derperton. I'd like to hear more about that. That's interesting. That's a interesting. I'm not sure what you mean by it, so I'd love to hear more about that. My dry brush, I have a real flat paintbrush, and I really just slap my towel until it's mostly off. Then I just move my brush hand up and down real fast. Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe this isn't dry brushing. Maybe this is just me being an idiot. Maybe I don't know what dry brushing is. Maybe I've made it up. Maybe I'm gaslighting myself. But we will repeat what we said earlier. I am not an artist. I am just a guy who's fucking around with paints and having a good time. That one turned out good. And you, my friend, let's get yours as well. I mean, they're only, 5 points a model? So ultimately, nobody's going to pay too much attention to these guys when they're alive for 75 seconds. What? What did you say? He asks. My entire Sons of Horus army is dry brush, so I've practiced. Don't think I'm good at it. I've seen your Sons of Horus. I really like them. Have a good night, says Ipso Facto. Have a good night. go. Yeah, the more paint that I'm getting off of this brush, the better it's looking, which I guess is like the point of it, right? You want to get as much paint as possible off of the brush before you start touching a mini with it. She's looking really good. And then we got the dude with the Ark of the Covenant. Nice. There we go. Wow, looking fly, my guy. He just sucks as well. I find it difficult to get some of the paint off the paintbrush when you can clearly see there's paint on the brush. Yeah, especially right now. But like if I run it against my finger, like no paint comes off. But if I'm really hitting the edge of the model, you can see where the paint you can see where it picks up on like the edges of her skirt right there. See, that looks a lot better than on the last model. I wonder if the female models are just a little more high fidelity than the other ones. I think they're more recent. They probably just have a couple of sharper edges that really catch the paint a lot better. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Because yeah, here's one of the male models, and I think maybe they just. No, he turned out fine. Yeah, looked great. Fletcher says hideous chaos strategies, which I am furious about. Forge Fiends are so good, and nobody at my store can get them because they're all sold out all of the time. Because chaos players realize they're exceptionally good, and so then they went and bought all of them. Which, you know what? That's how the meta rolls. That's how people engage in the hobby. What's up, dude? You ever play Third Ed back in the day? Ooh, no. I jumped in at the very tail end of 7th edition, and the majority of my learning experiences were in 8th edition. I've only been in the hobby for 7 years? 7 years, probably. Yeah, that sounds about right. Just above 7 years. Look at that. All right, so we've got all of our coats done. We're going to do the keffias now. Painting the white on top there. Hello, little ant. Oh, man, the focus on this poor, ancient, shitty webcam. Hello, come back. Thank you. Little ant going around on the board. All right, so now we're going to take this other paintbrush that Pink Crab usually sits over here. That's why he's not holding my paintbrushes. He should be hanging out right here, holding my brushes like that. But now we're going to grab Wraithbone, which I picked up a new pot of the other day because I realized I was out. And I hope I still have lying about. Remember earlier when I said that this was a really good way for me to organize my paints? Wraithbone, there we go. Wraithbone. Okay, so now I'm going to paint the keffias, the head wraps. Getting a lot of paint, maybe too much for how little I have to do of it. Okay. Fletch, did you play against Marines recently and just pick up a bunch of Marines with a Forge Fiend? Sounds like you have very recent experience from that. Wordbearers tore through a demi company of Marines. Ugh. All right, so this is an easy part. I'm just going to go over just the head cloths. And we get to this point, somebody in the chat mentioned it earlier. When you get like those 3 colors down on something, it just pops. And the whole model just really starts to come together as soon as you actually get like that 3rd color on it. It just feels really nice. And the green and the tan and the white is going to make 3. We're going to start to feel accomplished, and then we're going to be really happy and not want to stop. Which to me, that's that zone. Like that's that really like nice, happy, hobby zone you get in when you're just doing something and you're just like, man, there's Ant. Hello. Um, when you're painting and then hours just start to fly by because you got really into it. It's a really lovely creative space. I read something recently that I really liked. Uh, oh, hello, little ant. How are you doing today? I read something today that I really liked, and it was about creativity and the human sort of like not even desire, but need to create. In the same way that birds sing, human beings do art. Like we create. We don't do it because we're so conditioned to do it because we need to make a living off of it, or we need to be productive or create a legacy or something. But we do it simply because we need to do it. It's just part of us. Creating is as natural to us, and art is as natural to us as swimming to a fish or flying or singing to a bird. It's something that we do. It doesn't even have to be good. It doesn't have to be something you can impress other people with it or anything like that. You just do it because it's part of being human is creating. Like a bird never stops to wonder if its singing is any good or if it can like make a living off the singing. Sure, it's trying to attract a mate, but also it just sings. Like it's just a thing that we do. I don't know. That really resonated with me. We create because it's part of like what we really are. We are creative beings that are just wanting to influence the universe in some way, even if it's minor. I don't know. It's corny, but I really, really liked it. I never want to like win. Like I'm not trying to like win painting contests or anything. I just really, really enjoy expressing myself in these small little ways with my tiny plastic men. And then I have a little ant friend. He's a lovely little guy. I'm not sure what he's looking for on here. Not even sure why he's drawn to me. Like, why to my hands in particular? Why is this little ant chilling up here? What are you looking for, pal? Why are you in my house? Now that I'm thinking about it, you shouldn't be in here. And that probably means there's more of you somewhere. Oh well. All right. Spent too much time on that guy's head piece. Google Nut has been sanding cabinet doors for the last 7 hours. That's excellent. I wish this would stay focused. I don't know anything about webcams though, or why it's doing this. Oh well. Nothing I can handle immediately, so I'll just accept it and deal with it. One thing that this project I remember it really helped me with the first 30 guardsmen I painted with this, focus. One thing that it really helped me with was faces. Like there's a lot of like bare faces here, and because they're small models that I'm not going to focus too much on, it just gave me a lot of like purposeful practice to working on faces without a lot of pressure, if that makes sense. I would just paint them just for because they have to be painted because they're people with faces and I needed to paint them. And I've really appreciated my to learn for that reason that it just gave me an excuse to practice painting faces. And now I'm pretty confident painting faces. I am still think I have a long way to go with them, working on like skin tones and shading different parts of the faces and using layering to like bring expression out on models. But at the very least, I'm not afraid of doing eyes anymore. And that's a big step for hobbyists, I think, being afraid of doing a human's eyes. Uh, I'm in a good spot with that right now, not being afraid of it. 'Cause I know a lot of people who put helmets on everything simply because they don't want to paint faces. And they say it's because he's a soldier and he'd never take off his helmet in the battle. But your fucking librarians are blue and your medics are white. Like you're already like painting your officers different colors, basically saying, "Hey, take out my important medical officer." Uh, so like I don't know. It's Warhammer. Nobody does things out of practicality. They do everything out of style and fashion. That's just the way of Warhammer. Ugh. Oops. All right, 2. That's a process. If we get a new Grey Knights model with a new codex, what would you like to see? That is a good question. So one of 2 things that I'd really like to see. I'd like to see an entirely new unit, like maybe some like specific sort of like demon slaying. Like I'm not even sure, but I had dreams of like a specific like psyker focused unit. So like we have purifiers who are like uh they're like purity and doing like fire and shit, and then we have paladins who are like martial superiority, then we have terminators and strikes, which are our basic guys, and then we have uh interceptors, which are our fast guys, then we have brigaders, which are our heavy teams. I'd really like a unit of like mini librarians that are focused on psychic powers, like Eldar warlocks almost, but for Grey Knights. And you can run them in like squads of like 3 to 5, and they're like a really, really like purposely focused psychic squad of like witch seekers or like specified demon hunters. I don't know, some Grey Knights that take like the battle psyker part of it really seriously. I'd love to see that. Alternatively, I would also really love to see an interceptor character. So like a what's he called? Like the Brotherhood champion or a brother captain, except he's got an interceptor pack as opposed to like as opposed to Terminator armor, so that interceptors can take characters with them. And I'm not sure exactly what he'd do, but I've always thought it's kind of weird that you get characters in Terminator armor, characters in power armor, but nobody ever grabs the interceptors backpacks. Like no characters are like, I want to take my warp jump pack, which feels like a thing that you'd want in battle if you are a like major player there. I think it'd be really cool. Interceptor characters. That's my final answer. Interceptor character. Or anything. Any new models. Any new models at all would be neat. I would love that. The Grey Knights could use a psychic heavy weapon squad. No, we have one. They just suck. They just suck eggs. They're so bad. Purgators are so bad. Their indirect just isn't good enough for how much they cost, and our weapons aren't good enough to like want us to actually like pay out the nose for that. 190 points for 4 special weapons. It's just absolutely insane. Like 4d6 flamers for 190 points. Ooh, give the champion an option for the interceptor pack. That's easy. Is there GK Codex incoming? Eventually, sometime in the next few years, as 10th edition continues its rollout. We're not on the schedule yet, but sometime over the next few years, they absolutely will give us a codex. They're going to give everybody a codex. It's, from what I understand, they also used to not do that in like older editions. They used to sometimes people would go entire editions without getting a codex. Unfortunately, that is not the case anymore. People are they're making sure that every faction gets a codex, even if it's like Guard and they get their codex like 3 months before the new edition. At least they got one, I guess. Man, that must feel really bad for Guard players. I didn't really care about Guard so much at the time. My Talaran were just sort of hanging around. But that can't feel good knowing that you got your codex and then a few months later a new edition of the game came out. You can't even use your old information. Yeah, it's gonna be hard. At least there's cool lore in there and maybe memories of a few games. That's nice. Burgers and Razorback for reroll to wound used to look really appealing until the points hike. Right. I modeled up some Purgators because I was like, oh sweet, this will be kind of cool. I'm excited to do this. And then I just am not motivated to now because 200 points for 10 wounds with no invuln is real bad. It's just really difficult to swallow. It's very like, you can't justify it. But, well. It's just things, and there's always more fun things to paint, so we don't need to paint the things we don't wanna paint, right? That's the joy. That is the joy of this game. If we're in a spot where we don't really wanna play with the thing, or we don't really wanna engage in the game aspect of it, we can always just fall back on painting, which I found myself doing a lot recently in recent years. It's just such a I keep mentioning this, it's such a lovely zen spot for me that I can just fall into whenever I need to relax. Okay. Man, doing 11 of these guys at once, that might be beyond me. Usually, I only do bricks of 10 when I'm batch painting, and 11, even just 11 feels like a little too much, like way too much. What do I know? Maybe I'm just meant to toil on these men for eternity. Spurgator sounds so bad compared to long pangs at 150 for 4. Long fangs aren't even for like for special weapons. Long fangs are for heavy weapons. We don't really have heavy weapons in the GK Codex. We don't have anything that's like las cannon or missile launcher equivalent. Our best weapon, the Psy cannon, is a heavy bolter with strength 8 as opposed to strength 5, which doesn't really wound vehicles any better than the strength 5 one. So most vehicles are sitting at like T9 or 10. That's why I was talking about the Stormhawk Interceptor earlier. I think like that might be our cheapest las cannon platform for efficiency. Like the Razorback is obviously cheaper, but it's one las cannon shot, which sucks. It's finally starting to cool off here in the Tacoma area, and someone is barbecuing in my neighborhood. Oh, I bet that smells so nice. I can feel it also starting to cool off here now that the sun's gone down in Seattle. It's yeah, summer, 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 summer. I know I'm hurting myself taking them, but I've always taken them, and the Psyken is my favorite 40K weapon. You know what? That is an excellent reason for taking them. I did that with Terminators for so long because they're just my favorite and they're so cool. And now that they're good, I feel really good about taking them. But I've always taken them, even when they've been PP garbage, because I absolutely love them. And that is the best reason to bring a model because you love it. You think it's really cool. And that's all that really matters. Who are these lads? Says Brother of Titans. Talarn. That's exactly who they are. I am painting some Talarn. I played a game with my Talarn today against Tyranids, and I had a really good time. I only have 1,000 points of Talarn, and we spent some time. It was my buddy's first game of 10th edition, so we spent some time sort of working it out. And I just had a really fun time playing with my Talarn. So it got me in the headspace to work on them some more. So I took out these old minis that I had never finished, and I'm just having a good time putting them on. It's good to take breaks from your main projects to do other stuff. So I painted up a lot of Grey Knights in anticipation for the Tacoma Open last weekend. Had a great time doing it. And now I'm going to take a little bit of a break and paint some Talarn because they're different, and different is good. Gets my brain working in different ways. I have a unit of 5 with a brother captain with 1 or grandmaster with 1. Oh, I have bad news for you, Anthony Escobar. Brother captains and grandmasters can't attach to purgation squads. They can only attach to terminators and paladins. So, rip. Sorry about that. I guess better you learned here than at the table. That would be too bad. Oh, you meant to say Terminators. Okay, great. Yeah, I see. I thought we were still talking about Purgators. No, yeah, absolutely. I always bring at least minimum 3 squads of Terminators. I've yet to run Paladins this edition just because they're pricier Terminators, but maybe I will soon. Terminators are just the way to go. They're the coolest fucking minis. Grey Knights Terminators, and I've said this many times and I'll say it forever. Grey Knights Terminators are the coolest minis that Games Workshop has ever made. And I know Sadamorn Kervili will immediately disagree with me and tell me that it's Chaos Terminators, but he's incorrect. The only thing he can agree with is that Terminators are sick. Having multiple factions to work on is great for burnout since I have a full Space Wolves army and will only play my other 3 factions when fully painted. Ah, there he is saying except for Chaos Terminators. Yeah, I like having multiple armies specifically for that reason. The poor hammer guys mentioned it earlier. The 3 army rule is very important for me, I think. I will never at any given time have more than 3 like functional armies, because if I go beyond that, that means I'm collecting too much. So right now I have Talarn, I have my Dinosaur Tau, and I have my Grey Knights. So I won't, I will not, I will not go beyond that with my armies, simply because that means I start collecting too much. So if I ever want to start another army, I have to get rid of one of those 3, my Dinosaur Tau, my Talarn, or my Grey Knights. And with that threat looming over, I haven't wanted to start anything else. Do you use magnets to interchange your range weapons? No, I do not like magnetizing models. I just don't. It's not a thing I enjoy, and I talked about it earlier. But the reason I do all this painting, assembling, all this hobbying is because I really enjoy it. And while it is efficient and it's good use of money to magnetize and save yourself some kits, I just simply don't enjoy futzing around with magnets. I did when I've like finished the mini and then having to like worry about like magnetized aspects of it, it just adds a whole level of fuss to the hobby that I don't enjoy. So I do not magnetize anything. If I need another heavy weapon or another melee weapon that I haven't had before, that I didn't have on the guy already, I'll just model up a new model with a different weapon, which can be pricey sometimes, but I usually have a lot of extra bits laying around and I can just do that. So for example, the Talarn I have here, the special weapons they have are melta-guns. And I'll be running them with melta-guns. That's it. Full stop. What are your Dino Tau? Says Brother of Titans. Oh, if you haven't seen my Dino Tau, they're not here, so I can't. They're sitting at the shop, so I can't show you an example of them. But go to my Instagram. The link is in most of my YouTube videos. And kind of scroll down, maybe like 2 years ago, I posted full pictures of them. I basically took Seraphon and Tau and bashed them together to say it was like an uplifted like dinosaur people that the Tau like uplifted into their like fucking multi-alien society. And I really loved them. It was a really lovely project, but I do not enjoy playing Tau, so I kind of got burnt out on them and I stopped painting them. I don't enjoy playing Tau. Nothing against Tau. I think they're really neat lore-wise, and I think their models are really cool. I just need melee. I need melee in my forces, and if it's not there, I don't like it. Even Guard have a modicum of melee. Oh, actually, I do have a Dino Tau model here. It's unfinished, so I hope you don't mind seeing an unpainted piece. This guy right here, it is a stand-in. Oh, it's got so much dust on it. It is a stand-in for a hammerhead gunship. Not a hammer. Yeah, no, for a hammerhead. That's what it is. Stand-in for a hammerhead. It's a Stegodon with, and you see the little like howdah on top, all the guys up here. So instead of like the, what are they called? Like gun drones, I just have skinks up here holding rifles. So that's delivering the effect. And there's this dude up here manning the ion cannon. This whole project was super fun, but I kind of got burnt out just because I painted far too much of it. I see we have a Tau fan in the audience. All right, you are finished. I have 4 more to go. Mhm. Yeah, I got a little too much of the gray onto his uh, shirt there, which unfortunately I don't have the patience to go back and undo. So he's just going to be a little bit dustier, his cloak. And that is okay. Not everybody's perfect. In fact, it gives a little character, makes everybody a little different. I also really like models like this. Like, I don't know what this box is for, but I had him carrying the box, and that feels really cool. I don't know why he's doing it or what it's about, but it's just gonna make him look a little different. He's carrying supplies into the battlefield, and just anything to give the models personality and character. That's why I have enjoyed painting this little Inquisition kill team I have so much, because all of the models that I've kit bashed have character to them and just feel, I don't know, real. Not real, but like character. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. I've already used the proper word for it. I don't know why I was searching for another word. There we go. Heretic, says Luris Meow. Agreed. Agreed. Damn heretics. The Tower, the only 40k army I've dipped away from the Imperium with, uh, which, not like pro Imperium, but fictionally very pro Imperium, simply because I like human beings, and they seem to be the only ones who are encouraging the active continuation of human beings. All right, there's that one. 3 more. Ah. All right, friends, I am getting hungry and getting ready to go have some dinner and maybe finish off a bottle of wine. So I am probably going to close this whole thing down and call it a night once I've got these the white aspects of this done, and maybe pick it up tomorrow. It has been lovely hanging out with all of you folks. I really enjoy these situations. They're just very chill, and I feel like nobody puts any expectations or anything on there, and it's a really good time. Thank you so much, everyone. I will chat with you all sometime in the future. Oh, and I'm going to post a video about the Tacoma Open Monday, probably. Sick Guard, thanks for the content. Who's your favorite Grey Knight? Oh, that is a good question. And the answer is Grandmaster Samandus. My own character. OC, please do not steal. Who's my favorite lore Grey Knight? Probably Crow. He's just neat. The whole incorruptible paladin thing is just a awesome vibe. All right. Good night, everybody. You all have a lovely. Let's say good night with my face, with the darkness of my room. Good night, everyone. You're all great. Press the button. Where is it? There it is.